Welcome to the Detroit Sports Room, your home for Detroit sports news and information. Now, here's Jim.
Yes, here I am, and today in the room with me, I have Pistons Talk, and here he is. How you doing today, man?
Doing great. Just ready to talk some sports with you.
Oh, God, me too. But first, we have to talk about how you got into all this in the first place. How did you get into YouTube and doing this type of thing and doing the Pistons Talk thing? How did you get into all of that?
So probably about 6 years ago, I got started off on Facebook, and I probably run one of the biggest Facebook pages called Detroit Pistons Nation on Facebook. So that's where I got started, and I just kind of fell in love with content creation. And I didn't really go on to, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube until like maybe 2018. And I've really committed this year to try to make content because I don't know. I just love talking Pistons. And I was on the Offside Show with you. I mean, I love talking Red Wings too. I love.
Yeah, you were good at that. You need to come back on too, by the way. It would help us out a ton because I like your you bring energy to your stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can see you're passionate about what you do and you're knowledgeable about what you do. And, you built, from what I understand, you built a huge Instagram community too. And how do you build all that? How does that happen? And how long does it take?
Well, it's not even my Pistons page. Like I made an NBA page last year. And I think I got 10,000 followers like in 3 months.
You're a cult leader. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't know. Social media is just like, I don't know. It's easy for me. I mean, I even have a Red Wings Instagram called Red Wings Today. I mean, that's like 5,000. I don't know. It's just, I guess it's easy for me.
Wow.
I don't know. I took a social media course, I think for like a month, and I never actually graduated from it. I kind of already knew what they were talking about. And I just did my own strategies, and it just blew up over like a 2-year period.
That is so cool, man. It really is, because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with that, with social media, and they have a hard time getting any traction, getting any followers. A lot of YouTubers quit just because of the fact they just can't get a following. They have a hard time with that. And for you, it seems almost natural, which is a gift, by the way. Seriously. Definitely a gift. So we covered kind of how you got there. How did you become a Detroit sports fan? I guess we'll go into Pistons first. How did you become a Pistons fan?
Well, I kind of grew up on the Grant Hill era, like right before he got injured, like right before. And, I was like, wow, this guy's special. We might, win another championship. And then all the injuries happened. And then I was like, wow. And then I was addicted from there, during the
It's always one player, like for most people in the Lions, because I do a lot of Lions interviews, and a lot of those guys, it's always Barry Sanders, well, mostly Barry Sanders. I had one Rodney Peete, believe it or not, but seriously, it's mostly Barry Sanders, but it's a player that stood out to them that they really loved, and it's like, God, I love watching this guy play, I know you're a big Red Wings fan too. Who was it for you, Red Wings wise?
Well, I love goalies, and
I do too.
It was like Mike Vernon for me was like,
really,
yeah. I was like Mike Vernon. I don't know, something about him. He was just so good, and I got to watch. I was really little when they won the 2 championships back to back.
Yep.
I was like 5, I believe, and I mean, everyone was a Red Wings fan, and it was just so cool to see. You go out, everyone's got a Red Wings hat on or a jersey, or to me, they're the one team that you could go anywhere in the United States and you will see someone wearing a Red Wings jersey, because they're like the San Antonio Spurs of hockey. It's just crazy.
They are. And, I mean, but a lot of Michigan people like to get out of the cold. So if you go to Arizona, man, that's almost like a home game.
Oh, for sure.
I used to love that Let's Go Red Wing chant in Arizona in the playoffs. Oh, that was good. That's good, man.
Yeah, even in Vegas, when they got their new team, there was a lot of Red Wings fans at their games.
Oh, yeah. And Florida,
I was like,
too.
Yeah, a lot of Michiganders go down to Florida. I mean, it's crazy.
No, but it's cool because, they're the one team. I've seen that with the Lions a little bit, but boy, I mean, not mobs of people like you see in Arizona or someplace like that, where it's like, holy cow, man, look at all these fans of this team. And the Red Wings actually had success, which is different than the Lions. Pistons have had some success, 2 championships. So, I mean, and I got to watch both of them, 3 championships. I forgot the back-to-back. I was just thinking the 2 eras, Yeah. So I think that I just love, being a part of that type of a situation. You know what I'm saying? Winning a championship and being, having that team pride, man. I don't know what that's like as a Lions fan, but as a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we talked earlier about the Andre Drummond situation. So I'm going to bring that up because I think there's some inside information here, and I'm going to try to get to that. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Andre Drummond and how you know the things that you know first.
Well, Andre Drummond is like really close. He's got a really close inner circle. And I made friends with most of his inner circle. You know how he does like the rap music, right?
Right.
Well, one of his friends, Jason, was making Photoshop pictures of Andre and roasting him. So I went on Andre's Instagram. I said, "Oh, you need someone to edit your picture with Photoshop." He DMs me, sends me his number, and then I Photoshop a picture of his friend. I'm trying to think of the movie. I want to say it was Superbad because he kind of looks like the guy from Superbad. So I Photoshopped his picture on there, and they were just roasting each other. And then since then, I mean, I still have his number in my phone. We'll text once in a while, but that's just kind of how I, made friends with him. And, he's a lot different from what the media portrays him to be. He's a really good guy, really good father to his kids. And the whole situation with the trading thing, that had to do with the front office not wanting to give him an extension. But I never really understood that because he was still under contract for a few years. But someone in that front office, I don't know if it was Ed Stefanski or Antellum, I don't know who it was, but they did not want to give him an extension. And that's when we saw all the "I can't wait to be a free agent" talks all the way back in the summer league.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was based on his conversations with the Pistons front office.
Yeah, they did not want to extend his contract because he was looking for $30+ million a year.
Wow.
So
it's a lot of money.
He's really close with Tom Gores, so it wasn't him because Tom Gores would have gave him the $30 million. Tom Gores still follows Andre on Instagram.
Wow.
So
in your opinion, who do you think it was that was trying to block that move?
Probably Ed Stefanski, if I had to guess.
Okay.
So I don't. Yeah.
Ooh. So if we had the GM that we have right now, do you think that he gets an extension?
No.
Still Ed Stefanski's still higher up, right?
His title is so weird. He doesn't want to call himself a president of basketball operations, but that's his title. He calls himself a senior advisor, but I mean, he's a president of basketball ops.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he doesn't call himself that. I don't know.
Well, he had a hard time calling himself GM too.
I don't get it.
I just don't think he knows what the heck he's doing or something. I don't know, or what he's. So he doesn't want a title because he doesn't want to be held accountable. I don't know.
Well, his contract's up pretty soon too, so I don't know if that's the reason to hire Troy Weaver, but that could be something that could develop.
What do you think about Troy Weaver?
At first, I was drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I was really high on him. And I happened to listen to a Locked On Pistons podcast. I don't know if you listened to that, but they really went deep into his second-round draft picks and how many busts he drafted. And that was kind of a red flag for me, but hopefully he can get it right.
God, I hate to say this, but in the NBA, second-round draft picks are not like they're in the NFL. It's more like the 9th round in the NHL. They really talent goes down really quickly in the NBA draft, and to get a second round pick wrong, I'll give him a pass on that just because of the fact that it is. See, people, if they don't understand basketball and they don't understand how it works, you would say, wow, a second round draft pick, he should be doing great on that. Well, it's not the same type of thing. There's only 2 rounds, right?
Well, the Pistons have actually had some pretty good success with second round draft picks.
Okay.
You can look at Chris Middleton, second round draft pick.
Very good player, whom they gave up on too soon.
Spencer Dinwiddie, second round draft pick.
Whom they gave up on too soon.
Bruce Brown, second round draft pick. I mean, he's a very good player.
No, I'm just kidding. We have to go with the pattern, dude. Come on.
I know.
So back to Andre Drummond. Do you think he knew he was being traded way beforehand or no? Or was it a complete surprise?
I think he knew that it was a possibility, but I didn't, from my understanding from it, he didn't think they actually had the balls to pull it off. I think he felt pretty comfortable. I mean, he says, I've been in trade rumors since I've gotten here. They've never done it, so they're probably not going to do it now. I think the trade to Cleveland was I think a lot of fans were pissed off by it, honestly, because they didn't get a lot.
I was. I'll be one of them to say I was. I hated that trade. I mean, come on, really? To me, we gave them away. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get anything in return, really. I mean, the 2 guys we got were both washed up. Honestly, I don't see the value in that trade at all, to be honest with you. So it's like I just thought he was. Let me put it this way: I thought he was more valuable than that. Had this been the 90s or something like that, Andre Drummond would probably be the most sought player in a trade in the entire league.
Well, there were other trades that Tom Gores vetoed that probably not a lot of people know about. Okay,
let's go into it. What other trades were there? What else was on the table?
So Van Gundy tried trading him twice. He tried C.J. McCollum and a first-round pick for Andre Drummond. Gores vetoed it.
Okay, that's not good.
A straight swap for DeMarcus Cousins when he was in his prime.
I'd have done that too. I would have done that too.
Valanciunas for Drummond got vetoed again.
Okay. I don't know if I like Valanciunas as much as I don't know. I don't know about that one. That one's kind of iffy to me.
Even DeAndre Jordan too. I mean, that one didn't go through. Which they're pretty much just the same damn player, but Jordan's better defensively.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because he's only like you said, he's almost the same player. I don't know. There's just something. I don't know. I guess I didn't like that trade option either, to be honest. Okay.
I probably would have done the McCollum one.
That one I would have done, and a first round pick. Okay, so
yeah, I mean, I would give up
that one. I would have done. Yeah, that one I would have done.
People probably wouldn't have done that trade, but I mean, that was when McCollum was only in his second or third year, and we really didn't know what he was going to be. But now he's you could probably say top 10 shooting guard in the league right now.
Yeah, and do we need that? I mean, what do you think of Luke Kennard?
I think he gets
that opinion varies. You think he gets traded?
Yeah.
Okay. For what?
Well,
what do you think is out there for him? Is what I'm saying. What I'm asking you, because I know realistically,
Pistons asking price is going to be a first round pick for his services, and I don't know if a team would do that, but you could probably get a young asset in a second round pick for him right now, because teams are very hesitant because he's starting to. I don't want to say it, but he's injury prone. I agree with you. The guy's never played a full season yet.
Right. And they say he's got bad knees. And if that's the case, that's tough on a guard.
Mm-hmm. At his age.
Yep.
He's not even 25 yet, and he's already having knee issues.
Yeah.
I think that's why
Yeah, and that's a problem. It is a problem. He's a good player. He's a damn good player. But the problem is it's like Kerryon Johnson with the Lions. Good player, gets injured every year, and it's like he can't reach his full potential because you You can't put up numbers when you're on the bench. You just can't.
No,
That's the way it is.
I don't know if it was maybe his football upbringing, because he did play a lot of football when he was younger.
That'll do it to your knees. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What position did he play? Running back?
Quarterback.
Oh, okay. That could do it. But he's a very athletic kid, and he's very knowledgeable with the ball, for a shooting guard. You know what I'm saying? He's a good passer. I think he's got an excellent shot. But we got Svi,
I actually made, I think it was above the rim a couple weeks ago, and JMO absolutely lost it. As I said, there was a time where Svi was actually playing off the ball better than Luke was this year.
Yep.
Like Svi was running around screens. It looked like a little mini Rip Hamilton out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if there's a good trade, I think the Pistons take it for Luke Kennard out there.
I think they do too, just because of the injuries and because they have Svi. I don't like Svi handling the ball. I don't think he's good at, I don't like that. But spot shooting, somebody that can get him the ball, which is another huge problem on the Pistons team. But, but he can get open. And he's got a shot where it takes very little time for him to get it off. He's got a quick release. I think he's a good shooter that way. I like him as a spot up shooter more than trying to create his own. I think he's terrible at creating his own.
Luke's better in that aspect. He's gotten way better at creating his own shot.
Yeah.
But
so it's
not
a
that I'm
tough
against
proposition.
It's not that I'm against him. It's just I see it coming, because there's already talks about him wanting 10 plus million in his next contract. So 10 to 15 million, I'll probably do it.
That's a lot.
Exactly.
That's a lot for a guy with bad knees. I don't want to say too much terrible about him, because he's still young. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still could be okay. He still could be really good. And depth is a big thing in the NBA. Your second team is almost as important as the first team, to be honest, because they're out there quite a bit. Players get tired and players need rest, especially over a long season. This may not be that long season, by the way, but still, I think your bench is very, very important. Getting D Rose was very important to having, somebody that's injury prone at your point guard position last year. That brings up the next topic, the point guard position for the Pistons. If you were the GM, how would you fill this spot with someone that can actually distribute the ball, bring it up the floor good, all the things a point guard should be, a good passer, that type of thing. Who is that guy for you? Don't say Jose Calderon.
No, I'm not a troll. No. If it was me, I would look in the trade market right now, because let's say you draft a point guard. Unless it's LaMelo Ball, I don't think he's ready right now. I think it's going to take another year or two.
Would you trade up to get him?
Depends who the team is. Depends who gets that.
It's Golden State, right? Aren't they number one? Or won't they be number one? Pretty, I know the lottery and all that, but the Pistons are going to get screwed in the lottery, because they always do.
Yeah, I think that they have the highest chance they have is to get the 7th pick, and that's around 26%. Oh
my God. You know what's funny? Because I had an interview with Detroit Drew yesterday, and I said, I think they're going to get 7th. That's what I told him too. I had no idea what the percentage is.
Yeah.
But every time they get hosed, they're in the 5th spot as the seedings go.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to get hosed again this year, is what you're telling me. Okay, cool.
It's a good shot. I know, people they like to add the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They're like, oh yeah, they have a 40% chance of, getting a top 3 pick. I was like, no, they have a 10.5, 10.5, 10.5, 10.6. That's not 40%, you guys. Just because you add it up doesn't mean it's 40%.
That's true. Because there's a 90% chance they don't get any of those picks.
Exactly.
If you look at it that way, individual pick versus the ratio.
Yeah. That 5th pick, we're not getting it. 2% chance of keeping it.
Because I'm dumb about the lottery, how in the hell can that be? If you're in 5th place, how in the hell can it be you only have a 2.8% chance of keeping the spot that you deserve?
Well, if you look at the lottery system prior, it was very pro tanking. And they kind of did an NHL approach, not the new one, but the old one.
Sucks. We all know what happened there.
Not the new one where a playoff in-play team gets a first overall pick. The old system before Bettman changed it, but that's another topic for another day. But so that's how they only have a 2.2% chance of keeping that 5th overall pick. Okay. So
for me, it makes no sense whatsoever that a team that finishes 5th overall has a better chance of going down than they have going up. But we're in Detroit and we get screwed all the time. So that's probably,
we should be used to it.
It is what it is, right? I usually ask this of everybody. I don't think I asked my last guest, but a lot of Detroit fans feel like it's Detroit versus everybody. Mm-hmm. Which side of the fence are you on there? Is it that the team doesn't play as well or something like that, especially the Lions? I guess I'm mostly talking about the Lions in this situation, although I have watched the Pistons for years get hosed on calls, with Michael Jordan and, now LeBron James and, the people that are supposed to get the calls or whatever. Do you think it's like it is Detroit versus these leagues, or it's just, these teams just aren't good enough?
Well, I think you can take an approach for each individual team. If you're talking about the Pistons, obviously you're going to talk about the bad boys and the Jordan rules. Mm-hmm. They literally had to change the league for Michael Jordan.
Yep.
So a fan saying Detroit first everybody, yeah, I could see that. Same thing with, the Pistons with the Malice at the Palace. That was huge.
It was.
And they cracked down on fighting after that big time. So when a ref comes to Detroit, he's probably scared for his life. If he doesn't live here. Yeah. if he's not from Michigan or he's never lived like anywhere near the Midwest, he's probably scared for his life. So he might call a call against maybe a Luke Kennard or, a Sekou because he's afraid. So
that's an interesting take. Why wouldn't he go for the home team? This is what I never understood, because I watch Pistons games a lot, and I am telling you, they get hosed. I'm just letting you know, games I watch, it's like, what the hell are you seeing? It's no foul when Drummond gets his butt kicked down there all game long, but they touch one of their players and they fall down, and it's like, oh, whistle. I'm like, what? And I think every team has that in the NBA, because I just, there's too much interpretation in the NBA. There really is. I think the refs have a really hard time. I actually feel sorry for them in the NBA, because it's just, there's contact on every play. It's just whatever you call.
Yeah.
And don't call. What you let go is almost worse than what you call now.
Thank God for Fox Sports Detroit, because they actually show us plays. Now, I can even go back to a play this year. There's a play of Christian Wood stepping out, but he never stepped out. He was inbounds, and the ref was right there. He was right freaking there. Didn't even call it. I was like, wow.
And that's some of the thing that where you actually see it. With the Lions, it's bad because they'll see it. They won't call it. And then they'll give us an apology, which we still lost the game. So the apology really helps. Thanks a lot. And we still get hosed anyway.
Oh, yeah.
At least the league admits it, I guess, in that situation. But it doesn't help any. How do we get it right? I mean, I think my personal opinion is that we need to get rid of refs altogether. We need to find a system that works with technology the way we have it, was spotting something and having something, make a call. Unfortunately, I had a referee on a long time ago in a show that I did, a very long time ago. And what he was saying is that we're not here to enforce every law. We're here to keep the control of the game and allow the flow of the game to happen. Mm-hmm. We're not here to, they had this call, so we have to call it on this end. It's not like that. They're just trying to maintain control of the game, and they're trying to maintain the flow of the game. So it doesn't get out of hand. That's really what they're there for. This was a hockey referee, so I mean, maybe it wasn't the same in basketball, but I do see that point where it's like, we're not trying to make everything fair and this, it's not, that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to keep control so that really bad things don't happen.
I feel like that's some referees, it's not all. I feel like some referees, like if two players are going at it, they will call technical fouls very early in the game because they don't want that mess. There are other referees that will just let them go at it. They don't care.
Yeah, and it's like it's the mentality of let the players play or, try to keep control of the game. So every ref is going to be different in that aspect. But I still think when you watch the games, and I think maybe it's this way for every home team. Every team maybe has this gripe, especially in basketball, because just like traveling. You know what I mean? Some people take extra steps all the freaking time, but then they'll call it on certain players that move their pivot foot wrong. You know what I mean? It's just like, what? Really? And you just get outraged because of the fact that it's not consistent.
It depends on the player too.
Oh, true. Absolutely.
If it's a rookie, they're calling that 10 out of 10 times. If it's LeBron, they will turn the cheek and not even look at it.
But why? That shouldn't be the case.
It's superstar calls. They say it all the time.
It's still, and I know that's way back to the Jordan era. And stuff like that, but it's not fair. It isn't. Mm-hmm. And the Pistons, because even the 04 team didn't really have superstars. Mm-mm. They had a group of players that really played well together, very good defensively, but they weren't, I wouldn't call any of them like superstars. Like, they didn't have a Jordan or, people like that. In fact, they beat teams with superstars. Shaq, Kobe, all on the same team, the Mailman and Gary Payton, all on the same freaking team. And we didn't have one of those guys, So I think maybe it's because of that we don't really get a lot of calls because we don't have that superstar player.
Yeah, I could see an aspect where a fan does use kind of a Detroit versus everybody mentality because of that. Mm-hmm. But even Blake's a quote unquote superstar.
Okay.
And he wasn't getting calls this year or the year before. Mm-hmm. Even though the rest would say, well,
football. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like he was still getting into the line, but not as much as he was used to as he was in LA because it's a different market. Detroit's a small market, so maybe the refs take that into accountability where, it's Pistons, it's a small market, who cares? We're not on national TV anyways.
Right. So we're not going to get as many repercussions for this game in this area than we would on a national Lakers versus, somebody game, Lakers versus Clippers or something like that, or, some of the bigger teams now. That makes sense. It actually does make sense. Are you going to move to something different? Because we've been on this one for a minute. You said we talked before we came on, and you said you had some dealings with Ben Wallace as well. Tell me about that.
It was just kind of a weird, like I tagged him in a post. He liked it. And then he followed me on Instagram like that. I was like, damn, all right. And I'll reach out to him once in a while and we'll talk to each other. And it's just kind of been like a one-liner type of relationship so far. But hopefully I can get him on one of these shows for the DSA. That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool. Ben Wallace would be amazing to have on just because of his the insight he could share about that team. Just the inner workings of that team and stuff that he knows and the stuff that he, has experienced and stuff like that. It would be really cool to get the insight on that. I like that idea. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
So keep working at it,
I'll keep working at it.
Keep working on Andre too. You never know. You might pop in or something like that just to help out for a little bit interview or whatever.
Maybe in a couple of years when he's not too salty, he'll come on.
Oh, okay. So how does he feel now?
He still feels pretty betrayed.
Yeah, I think I would too. I think I would too. How does he like it in Cleveland?
He's adapted. I don't know if he likes it, but I think he likes the money.
Okay. That's fair. That's totally fair.
Getting $30 million to live in Cleveland, I'm sure a lot of people would take that.
I would.
I would too.
Move now. I'd move right now. But you said he's bitter in it. Okay, because the fans, I think the fans liked him. I don't think it was not all of them. There were the Drummond haters, like the Stafford haters and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. They didn't never thought we'd win a championship with him and all that, but they never really tried to put like an all-star point guard with him either. Reggie Jackson was not an all-star point guard. I'm sorry, everybody might feel that way, but I don't feel that way.
I mean, when he first got here, the expectations for Reggie were very low because not a lot of people knew who he was. If you weren't an Oklahoma City fan, you did not know who Reggie Jackson was. And, first 27 games, 18-9. I mean, that's really good for a point guard. I mean, even John Wall was getting salty when Reggie was making more than him at the time. Mm-hmm. Even got ESPN guys saying, you know what, he's putting up better stats than you. Shut up. But all those knee injuries, they just took him down. I mean, that was, I think, peak Reggie Jackson and maybe a Brandon Jennings were the best point guards he played with. But, I mean, other than that, he didn't play with anyone good.
And that's the point. Center needs a good point guard and pick and roll plays and all this. And I liked Brandon Jennings with Drummond. I thought they were a pretty good pair.
Yeah.
I mean, really... we could have got to see that again if we would have kept him. But anyway, I'll hold judgment on that now. I don't like him back here now, but
I still wonder if Charlotte would have hit that Kemba Walker trade if he'd still be here.
Wow. See, I don't know, because if the Pistons brass believed they weren't going to win with him and they had to get rid of him because of the contract and who they wanted to sign and how they wanted to rebuild, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how they work together and what happened, playoff wise and whatever. Is Stan Van Gundy still here? If they make that trade instead of the Blake Griffin trade.
That was actually, I mean, a backup plan if we didn't get Blake was Kevin Love.
He would have been better with Drummond, I think.
He stretches the floor a lot better.
Yep.
Defensively, they're both kind of average. But
I agree with that. But you needed a point guard. You didn't need another. You didn't need a 4. You needed a 1.
See, I think it was a Van Gundy thing because you could go all the way back to the 2015 free agency, and they were trying to get Al Horford and Draymond Green.
That's right.
So I think the front office always wanted a power forward. They always wanted to have a big front court, which I never really understood because the league is more of a backcourt league right now.
Right.
I mean, if you have 2 good guards, you're probably a playoff team right now.
I like 2 good guards and then the good center, because then you space everything out. To me, I mean, if they come out to challenge the 3. You got that big guy in the middle, one-on-one with somebody who sucks usually, because most of the league hasn't really invested in the center position. Not like it used to be.
Look at Houston. I mean, they're insane.
They don't even have one, right?
They're insane. We're going to get out rebounded and we're going to try to force turnovers and shoot 63s a game and try to win that way.
If it works, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's working so far. I mean, the game last night, I thought they were going to win, but Portland beat them.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. Sorry, but it
was a really good game.
But the thing is, it's like, I just think that the Pistons have always been like a blue collar team, and the go to work Pistons were, the bad boys were. I mean, even the go to work Pistons was a bunch of casts off from other teams.
Yeah.
Really, it was, why do I keep blanking on names today? I did this in the last interview too. I keep blanking on names. Oh no, all that team, the Bren Wallaces that came over, Chauncey that came over, Rip that came over, and they were all kind of players that had played in the league. They were journeymen, but they got together and holy cow, we got something.
It's funny you talk about Rip. Joe Dumars was trying to trade for him for over 2 straight seasons. Wow. And we had Jerry Stackhouse. I don't know if you remember him. I mean, I do
remember him. I had a jersey.
He was a walking bucket.
Yep.
The fact that we traded a guy that could score more for Rip, I know a lot of fans were like, really?
Yep.
But it worked out. It definitely worked out
because Rip would wear out whoever was guarding him.
Yeah, he's like a track.
Just wear him out. Like Reggie Miller, man. I remember times when he was, Reggie Miller and him, right? And it was like he's running all over the court. I mean, just Reggie Miller's trying to keep with him, and he's tiring the guy out. Is basically what he did to every two guard in the league. You know?
He literally just studied Reggie Miller and he became a master of coming off screens.
Yep. But he was constantly moving. Constantly moving.
I think that's what you need out of your two guard right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too, unfortunately. It was just he was so different, you know, as a player than a lot of players were in that era. Just a different type of beast. And I think Chauncey was a big point guard, and a lot of the point guards were smaller at the time. At least that's what I saw. You may have seen something different, but it was just different people that they knew the role.
Mm-hmm. For me, Chauncey was kind of ahead of his time because he didn't really see too many point guards shooting threes like he was.
That's true too.
Like
every position was ahead of their time in a way. Except Ben. I mean, Ben was what Ben was. You know, he's gonna play defense. He's gonna block shots, and he might get occasional dunk here and there, but he is not an offensive threat.
He knew his role, though. I think that's what made the whole 04 team special. They never really tried to play out of their role. And
that's right.
What we have right now, it's just a bunch of isolation ball and no teamwork.
I agree with that. Because you don't have something that puts it all together. I think Chauncey was the glue. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he was, because he directed that offense, you know, and it just seems like everything just kind of meshed together, and we don't have that. We haven't had that since then, I think anyway.
No, we haven't. I mean, we don't even have a system, in my opinion. We don't even have a player we're building around. We're just kind of drafting players.
You could say Sekou at this point would be your future. What's funny, what do you think about him? Because in my opinion, something's wrong with this guy right now. And I've seen some stuff from him that I really don't like, that concern me. His attitude, his reaction to things is way over the top. Emotionally, he's not ready. Just going to be honest. That's the way I feel about him. And I feel like he could be someone that just kind of explodes, you know?
With Sekou, I think fans' expectations were too high.
Okay. That's fair.
And when you said attitude, you hit it right on the head. There was a game, I think it was a pregame, and he was complaining that I wasn't able to play my game.
Yep.
What I heard about that was me. I don't care about the team. I can't play my game. You have to fit into your role. Every player is probably playing like maybe 30% of their capacity, but they're playing within a coaching system and a role. Sekou hasn't figured that out yet. Like all these dunking clips, people are getting all hyped about it. We know he can play. He just has to buy into what Coach Casey is trying to preach to him, and it's not getting through right now.
I'm alarmed at how many times he takes it in the lane and gets a shot blocked. He plays recklessly a lot to me. And maybe it's pressure, and maybe he's just not ready yet. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to say this and not try to be mean about it. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see superstar in this guy. I don't.
I see all-star. I don't see superstar. I think he's a guy, maybe 3 years from now, he could probably put up like 18 to 20 points a game, given the proper shots. But I don't really see superstar. Like we saw glimpses of him, you know, one quarter he'll score 20 points, and then where did he go?
He decided he's not playing anymore. There are people like him that have a lot of talent, but yet they don't have it upstairs. And I think that's what I see in him. And I'm, like I said, I could be wrong. You could prove me wrong. When Kerryon Johnson came out, I said he's injury prone. The second we drafted him and I found out what he was and all this other stuff, and I looked into his injury history and all this stuff, I said, man, we just got an injury prone player that, you know, yeah, he's good. He'll never be great. The exact words I said, he's good. He'll never be great. And he's injury prone. And it's exactly what's happened. With Sekou, I see a head case. I'm being totally honest with you, and not a Rodman head case, because Rodman was different, because with the Pistons, yeah, he might have had all that shit going on in his head, but he didn't show it in Detroit.
He had Chuck Daly.
Yep. And who does Sekou have?
If the Pistons get rid of Bruce Brown, I think it could be a Rodman situation, because Bruce is probably one of the only players that Sekou is really close with. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I mean they're very close.
What do you see all-star in him? Okay. I can see one of two situations. Somebody that can get to him and get him to calm down and understand and not have these blow-ups. And then he could reach a potential. But I honestly see him flaming out. I really do. I see him flaming out in a year or two.
Yeah, unless he just changes his attitude, or we have someone on this team or the coaching staff that, can get through to him. But right now, we know he's talented, but he's letting his ego get in the way of his production.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true. So, LaMelo Ball, do you feel like he is the person that could change this team? Is he someone we can build around for the future, is what I'm asking you?
It's hard because there's no denying his talent, but he's quit on other teams before, the JBL he pretty much quit on. Mm-hmm. That kind of concerns me, but I'm hoping he's matured since then, because he was only maybe a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Do I see him?
Same thing with Sekou, though. I mean, I see that too.
Do I see him turning the franchise around? I don't know. I mean, is he talented? Yeah, but I don't know if he's a transcendable player that can turn this franchise around. I think they need maybe 2 or 3 more pieces until any kind of fan base will take them seriously.
No, and I agree with you, but it's usually a big 3 of players. Would he be considered in that big 3? That's kind of what I'm asking, because if we go and get a good center, we have a good shooting guard. I think Svi is a really good shooting guard. Everybody else is sold on Christian Wood. I'm not. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. I think that, if they sign him to a big long-term deal, I think it's going to be probably a mistake. That's just my opinion. We don't need star players to win, but a lot of teams have that big 3 thing like that. I don't see us having that. But do you think LaMelo Ball could be one of those pieces?
I do, but I just don't know if he would stay in Detroit. I know he has Detroit ties because of his trainer, lives here, his mom's from here, but I don't know why there's just like a voice in my head saying, he wants to go play in a big market.
That's fine. We could become a bigger market if we'd win.
Yeah.
This team has a lot of support.
They do. I just think you would probably have a better choice of Killian Hayes, in my opinion. Okay. I think
Do you think he could translate into one of a big 3 at some point?
Honestly, he just needs to work on his left hand. I don't really see too many weaknesses in his game.
Cool.
What
are your thoughts on Christian Wood real quick? I know everyone else is like over the moon for the guy, so I wanted to see what your take was.
I'm high on Christian Wood, but I put a Instagram story out last night, and maybe I'm interpreting wrong, and he said free agent next year. So I was thinking, okay, 1-year deal. Maybe he's not going to stay here long term. I don't know.
I think he's a you get this situation where you have a really bad team and someone shows up and they play really well on a really bad team.
Yeah.
And they get recognized because they're so good, but they're not really that good. They're really the only option that team had, pretty much, or they showed up in the absence of others.
Yeah.
This happens a lot with bad teams where they get a really, oh, wow, this guy's going to be great and all this other stuff. And it turns out he's average because your team was so bad. Do you think that Christian Wood is a great player, or do you think he's just really good because of the team around him?
I think on any other team, he's a bench player. But that's
that's why I'm wondering, do we invest all this money into him being the future star that everybody thinks he's going to be, or do we not do that? Because in my opinion, yours as well, it looks like that he's a bench player for a good team.
I think that's the problem the Pistons are in right now. Like, you could look at their core and you could say, well, everyone on that team, like all the young guys, they're bench players at best.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's okay.
Like, I mean, what core? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, like the young core that we have, I mean, that's okay. But the only thing the Pistons might have on their side right now is his contract. He has an early bird rates contract. So if they sign him for around $10 million, only 1.7 of that goes against the cap. Anything over that,
it's good.
Then
I would take that for a bench player of his skill. At his age.
I've gotten into debates that, I think he should come off the bench for the Pistons because he's not a center. And putting him at center,
I know he's not. He was there because we didn't have a center to put in. Not a good one. So of course, you consider Thon Maker, which I don't consider to be a good player.
No, he's gone after this year. They're not picking that up.
Right.
The money doesn't make sense.
And Drew Henson. Actually, I actually liked Drew Henson a little bit last year. He played okay. For who he is, he played okay.
John Henson's always been a really good rim protector. I mean, I wanted him a couple of years ago when he was with Milwaukee. He's always been a really good rim protector, but for him, he plays within his role, and that's something the Pistons really didn't have. And you need more guys like that they know their role. They don't try to overdo it,
I agree. I thought he was serviceable, and I think I'd resign him as a backup, even though he's old, but I would. Who cares? We're rebuilding.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it, but I have a feeling the Pistons are going to target Montrezl Harrell. I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling.
And you think this is a good thing, or?
Well, production-wise, he's very good. I wonder if he could take starting full-time.
I don't know.
And maybe he blows up. Who knows?
Why do we? Okay, this is another question. Like Reggie in Oklahoma, in Oklahoma City, he was a backup. The Lions do this too. Big V was a backup. We go after him. Why is it so attractive for Detroit to get backup players instead of star players?
I think it's more attainable. Because, well, let's say, I don't know, the Pistons go after Bradley Beal. Or something like that, because that's a possibility still. You're going to have to give up a lot just to get them. So, like you said, the Lions go after backups. The Pistons go after backups. Even the Red Wings now, to an extent, they go after backups because you don't really have to give up as much assets, but you might have to overpay for them a little bit.
I agree with you there. I mean, we did get Blake Griffin, and that didn't really work out as well as we wanted it to because of his injuries and stuff. I think he's still a really good player.
Oh yeah.
But I think that you build through the draft in most cases. In the NBA, that's hard because you get like one or two players a year. That's it.
Yeah.
You get 10. Yzerman's had 10 draft picks in the last couple of years, and out of 20 guys, you'd think 3 or 4 are going to make the team eventually and become something. But you got 2 chances in the NBA. It's not the same. It's harder to build talent in the NBA than it is in any other sport, I think.
I wish they would go back because they used to be like hockey where they would have, I think it would be more attainable for teams to, get better and they wouldn't tank as much, but that's just my opinion on it. I think they should go back to maybe 3, maybe 4 rounds of drafts.
I agree. Is there 3 or 4 rounds worth of good players, though?
I think there is. I think you see a lot of guys in the G League that don't make it. A lot of guys on draft night get undrafted, and they sign with teams. I think there's a lot of talent out there. It's just not all these scouts can see it in a full year period.
That makes sense. It does. That makes sense. Well, I could talk to you all day. I swear to God, I could. But there's eating and stuff like that and things that have to get done eventually. But so tell me one. This is the last question. Well, maybe we'll see. Where do you see yourself or your channel? What you're doing right now? How does that translate in 5 years? Where do you see yourself going? What are your goals and ambitions?
I'd like to become a media member in 5 years. I'd like to have my channel be more than me just playing 2K and doing voiceovers. I'd like to actually, go in the locker rooms, and interview players and create that into content.
That's attainable. It's very attainable, and I think you can, and I think you will, to be quite honest about it. Anything you want to say to everybody? How can they find you? I do have your channel up there for YouTube, so they can subscribe to it. And like I say, do it now. Now it's in order. Just kidding. Everywhere, if you
all my social media links are right on my header of my YouTube channel. So you can just click on an Instagram logo or a Twitter logo. It'll take you straight to it. So just a click away.
That's awesome. So basically, just follow where I sent you. See, I had all this planned. No, not really. But anyway, so yeah, just go ahead and copy and paste that into your YouTube or into your browser, and then it'll take you to the YouTube page, and then you can subscribe and get onto his Instagram and every place where he is. Really appreciate your time today and your candidness about a lot of the things that I asked you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's been a good series, and hopefully keeps going on for a long period of time. I don't know when it's going to end. So if you like what we're doing, go ahead and click the like button down there, and then subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And then take 5 minutes, because that was exhausting. So anyway, that being said, thank you for me and Pistons Talk. Catch you next time.